Hi, I'm Wendy. Do you often go into a networking event and thinking, what am I going to talk about? What questions am I going to ask? I feel so nervous. I don't know how I'm going to approach other people. Well, I'm going to give you 5 tips on the types of questions you can ask at your next networking event. Now, listen up carefully because you will find that none of my questions start with do you or are you. Now, why? Well, we've talked about this before, haven't we? These types of questions are called closed questions. So what they do is they invite a closed response. If you're asking someone a do you or an are you question, you're probably going to just get back a one-word answer or a yes or no answer. Now, you might come across people who are very chatty and they might reply with one word, but then they'll extend it and they'll keep talking. However, you might come across people who are quite nervous and shy and are not great conversationalists. So this will really stop the conversation from progressing any further. And frankly, all it does is just makes it harder work for you and the other people. So instead of getting to that point, don't ask those questions that start with a do you or an are you. Instead, I always say ask some of those questions that start with the 5 W's, like what, where, when, why, and I'll add in how as well too. I particularly like the what, how and why because they're the ones that elicit a much wider and deeper and more interesting response from other people. So let's get into my tips. So the first tip is, it's a question that you can ask people, is what do you do? Tell me about your work. So you're getting people, you're shifting the focus away from yourself, which is always my biggest tip. So don't, concentrate, focus on yourself and getting stressed about how you are. Direct that focus and that attention to other people. So ask them, what do you do? I know it's a bit of a classic question, but it will elicit a response. People will be usually at a networking event quite happy to talk about what they do. And if you ask them, tell me or explain a little bit more about what that involves, what your job or your business it does, how it helps other people, then you will get a lot more information that you can then probably find other questions to lead off from that initial question. Ask them about their role, the industry they work in, perhaps what unique value that they bring to their role or to the organisation that they work for. The second question that you can ask is, well, why are you here at this event, or what inspired you to attend this event? So inquiring about someone's motivation can open up options for lots of other questions as well. And you may find that you have some points in common when you ask this question. Well, hopefully you will, because you're both there at the same event. It doesn't mean, however, that you have the same motivations. It could be quite interesting to find out what they are there for, what their motivations are. So this question will not only help you understand their priorities, but it also creates a much more sort of personal and relatable connection with the other person. Right, the third question that you could ask is, what projects or what activities are you currently working on? So this could even be a question that flows out of question 1 when you ask them about their job and their role in their industry or in their organisation. They might be involved in some very interesting, perhaps controversial projects at the moment. Either way, it's not going to necessarily shut the conversation down. It might open it up to asking other questions and keeping that conversation flowing. And who knows where it might take you. And this is the whole idea of the networking event, isn't it? To see, in fact, where that initial connection could take you, where those discussions could lead. Perhaps you may find that there is the potential for some future collaboration with the person. You may have some areas of common interest. The fourth question that you could ask is, and I love this because it's all about what you can do for other people, not what they can do for you and what you can necessarily just get out of that networking event, although you are there for a purpose. But I think it's really lovely and interesting to find out how you can help other people, how you can contribute to other people's jobs, their successes, their achievements, their collaborations, their projects. Express a willingness to assist other people. It's a powerful way to build rapport, and who knows where it could lead. So show genuine interest in the other person and just sort of see where that can take you. And another great question, my final tip that you can ask people is, what is your biggest challenge at the moment? Or what's the biggest problem or issue facing your industry or your organization or people who do your particular job at the moment? So this can open the way again for an extended conversation, that building of that connection, which could result in perhaps collaborations in the future. So it demonstrates, that you are not just concerned about yourself and talking about yourself and what you're doing, but you are concerned about perhaps the industry as a whole. You're concerned about other organisations. You may share the same issues, the same challenges. And it's always good to hear other people's perspectives and get their support on common issues. So remember, as a final rule as you're going into those networking events, that the key to successful networking isn't about blowing your own trumpet and trying to get as many business cards and connections as you possibly can, but it is to actively listen, because that's what it's all about. It's finding out what's happening in the world around you and with other people. Be genuinely curious, genuinely sincere, and use that information that has been shared to find common ground so that you can build those authentic connections. Be prepared to share your own responses as well to similar questions that people may ask, so that you get a very balanced perspective. I hope those questions do help you. I'm sure if you put your mind to it, you can find lots of other questions, but remember, they've got to be those open-ended, open questions that invite an open response, not closed questions that take the conversation nowhere. So good luck at your next networking event.